So, if you're watching this movie, you probably want to know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So, in this movie, I'm going to show you how to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I'm going to show you just the beginner's method on solving the Rubik's Cube. There's many different ways of solving the cube. This one's pretty simple, straightforward, and doesn't take a whole lot of knowledge of the cube. So, first step is you can see that there's a centerpiece on each side, and that's going to tell you what color each side is. So like this side is the white side, the red side, the green side, and the order of the centers just never changes. You can't ever change it. For example, like the white is always going to be opposite yellow no matter what. You can't change that. White is just always opposite yellow, red is always opposite orange, blue is always opposite green. So the next thing is notation. The notation that I'm going to use is, this is the up layer, this is right, this is left, and this is down, and this is your front layer. Attached to this video is a list of algorithms that are going to be used in this video to solve the cube, and I'm going to refer to them as up, right, left, front, and down. If it says up inverse, that's going to tell you to move the top or the up layer counterclockwise. And if it says just regular up, it's going to be clockwise, like this. Same thing with the right, so if I say right inverse, it's going to be counterclockwise, like that. Right inverse, right inverse, right, right. So, the first step in solving the Rubik's Cube is to choose a side to be the top layer. And I'm going to choose white for now. And you want to solve the first layer, which is going to be this thing. All that. The first step to doing that is to get the white cross there. So, to do that, you're going to have to find a white piece that belongs either here, 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 or here on the bottom layer. So, here's one. So, I'm just going to rotate this piece underneath where I want it to go. And then I'm going to bring it up to the top. Okay? And then, since it's flipped, all I have to do is use the first algorithm, which is front inverse, up, left inverse, up inverse. And that's good. This guy has white and blue, and I want it to line up down the sides like I did with this one. So I'm going to bring this guy down to the bottom layer, like this, and then I'm going to rotate it underneath where I want it to go. So I'm going to put it right there, and then bring it back to the top, like that. And then, since it's flipped again, I'm going to use the same first algorithm. So, front inverse, up, left inverse, up inverse, and then it's good. Find another piece in the bottom layer, and move it up to the top. And then, I see this orange piece is sitting right there. So I'm just going to rotate the top layer, bring it up to the top, rotate it back. Now I've got the white cross, and I combine the first two steps into one to line up the cross down the sides with the center pieces like this. The next step is to solve the corners in the top layer. To do that, find a corner in the bottom layer that belongs in the top layer. So in this case, we'd have to have a white piece. So here's one. I'm going to rotate it to where I want it to go, and I know where I want it to go because it's got white, blue, and orange, which means that it has to go here because it's got a white, blue, and orange. So now I'm going to use algorithm number 2, which is right inverse, down inverse, right, down, and it moved it into place. So now I'm going to find another one. I can use this one, and it's already underneath where I want it to go, and I'm going to use algorithm 2 again. Right inverse, right, down. Right inverse, right, down. You're going to have to do this a couple times in order to get it into place. Right, down, right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down. And it's in place. So now we've just got this guy left. And this is an interesting case because the piece is already in the correct corner, it's just not oriented correctly. So to fix that, all we just do is use algorithm number 2 to move it down into the bottom layer, and then we'll move it back up in the correct position. So right inverse, right, down. Right inverse, right, down. Right inverse, right, down. Right inverse, right, down. And now that corner's solved. We still have all white, and the rest of the first layer is solved, as you can see. So now, the next step is to solve the second layer. First part of that is to flip the cube over, so the white side is now on the bottom. And now, you want to solve these pieces of the second layer. And to do that, you want to find a piece that belongs in the second layer in the top layer. So this piece, since it doesn't have yellow, it's got blue and orange, will belong in the second layer. So to move this piece to the second layer, I need to line it up down the side. So I need to find the blue side, like this, so that these two match. So now, since I want this piece to move to the left side, I'm going to use algorithm number 4. So to do that, algorithm number 4 is up inverse, left, up, left inverse, up, front, up inverse, front inverse. And it goes into place, just like that. So now, I find another piece, and here's one. So I line it up down the side, and again it's to the left, so up inverse, left inverse, up, left, up inverse, or up, sorry, front, up inverse, and front inverse, and it goes into place. Except for I did that one wrong, so I will use that as an example. If a piece is already in place, but it's in the wrong side, so I was supposed to move this one to there, to fix that, you just take a random piece from the top and put it in place. So I'll move this one to the right, so I use algorithm number 3. So up, right, up inverse, right inverse, up inverse, front inverse, up, front. And then that piece goes in place. Then I find a piece in the top layer. Now this time I want to move this piece to the right, because red and green, red and green. So again, algorithm number 3, so up, right, up inverse, right inverse, up inverse, front inverse, up, front. And it goes into place. Find another piece, this one, again to the right, just like that, and it goes into place. So now I have the whole second layer solved. The white side is still good, and I can move on to the third layer.